welcome back to another episode of Fresh Ink. I'm here joining the studios as usual with Zach and Adam. Everyone made it back from the autograph show. All in one piece.
We're still alive. Long weekend, but it was worth it.
So that's going to be the topic we're going to be covering today. Adam was in Minnesota for the Minnesota Fall SportsFest. I believe I got that one right.
Yeah.
It's a mouthful. And then, of course, Zach and I stayed behind to help out with Austin Ekeler, who stopped by the office while the Chargers were playing the Bears. So we'll be going over that, giving you a little review, and then at the end of the episode, we will have a sit-down interview with Austin Ekeler. Provide a lot of good talking points, a lot of honest stories. Spoiler alert: he never watched the NFL until he went to college.
That's crazy.
That's one of the big spoilers in there. So stay tuned for other info like that. But we'll start with Minnesota first, since obviously that was a bigger show. Adam, if you want to give us a little overview of how everything went.
Yeah, it was good. It was first time I went there. I think it was the second time we were there as a company. But it was at the Maplewood Mall, which was a nice venue. It's my first mall venue that I've ever done a signing at, which it worked out really well. We had a booth there. We did some stuff in the back room with the public and all that. Chris Carter, Lawrence Taylor, Marv Levy, Andre Reed. It's the guys we partnered with to bring to the show. And, they were all awesome. I mean, usually 9 times out of 10, athletes are great to deal with, and these guys were awesome. I mean, I have no complaints at all. Started with Chris Carter. He was in a great mood because Ohio State got the big W. So we were
trounced to Wisconsin.
Yeah, we were a little worried if Wisconsin pulled one off there. He might not be in the best mood, but he was in the best mood because Ohio State absolutely rolled Wisconsin. So he was great. Got in, got out. Did really well with the public. A lot of people came to see him being in Minnesota. And then the Bills guys were great. Levy and Reed. Andre Reed looks like he could still play. He's awesome.
Probably still could with the rules.
He looks like he's in great shape. Marv Levy, you could never tell that guy was 94 years old. He was probably the smartest person in the room, sharp as anything. Awesome to deal with. And then Lawrence Taylor being one of the greatest defenders of all time. Awesome with his time. We got him in, got him out. No issues there, and he was really pleasant to deal with.
Yeah, I think that comes as a surprise given how intimidating Lawrence Taylor was when he was a player.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right. And, you've seen him, even in movies like, was it Any Given Sunday?
Right.
He was absolutely terrifying in that movie.
Yeah, I've done a couple with Lawrence Taylor to this point, and, I always had that mindset going in to kind of be a little bit intimidated, but he's great to deal with. I mean, if you, you're prepared and you know what you're doing and you want him to do, he is one of the nice guys to deal with.
That's nice to hear, too, because of how many different inscriptions guys want for him. And so, I mean, coming into that with a pretty open mindset is nice to come by.
Right. Oh, totally. Especially with all the inscriptions people want him to write. For any athlete, it's like, man, some of these helmets are getting crazy with all these inscriptions. So, yeah, they were all great to deal with, did exactly what was asked of them. All the ink turned out really good, and all 4 of them actually have really nice signatures. So it was an overall great, successful show.
Yeah, especially with the inscriptions. The more popular one, LT was a bad motherfucker.
Yes.
That's long.
A
lot of people want that.
Yeah, that was a common one. Every QB's nightmare was one.
Okay,
like
another
nice.
long one.
I haven't seen that one too often.
Yeah, that one was I shouldn't say it was a common one. It was on a couple helmets, and it might have been from the same guy, but that's a nice creative one. And then he's got his classic, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, 2-time Super Bowl champ, that he was inking up on all the helmets. So a lot of inscriptions for him.
Yeah, and the same thing with Chris. His inscription, all I do is catch TDs. That's another long inscription.
Oh, yeah.
That's a tough one. Usually when we do signings, you want the athlete to start with the brunt of the inscription. So we definitely got those in there first, and he definitely appreciated that. He's like, I would rather do these right away than do these at the very end. So we got those done as soon as possible.
Nice.
Yeah, and Chris, this I believe our second time working with him for this particular show as well.
Yep.
He's a name you don't really see out that much. I didn't really see anything before we started doing something with him. Not that we're trying to humble brag or anything, but
little plug.
Yeah, shameless plug. But that's a guy who you don't really see a lot of. So definitely got to take advantage of that. I would assume once he's at a public setting like that.
I can only speak from what I've seen, but I think doing a show with the public in Minnesota is something that is easy for him because those fans love him up there. He clearly loves the fans. He always has really good engagement with the fans when they come through the line and stuff. So getting him out to Minnesota is something I think he really enjoys doing.
Yeah, and I think the fact that he's on Fox Sports 1 now, so he's always on TV. He's always had a personality,
right.
Of course.
Oh, he was very funny. He was cracking a lot of good jokes, and the jokes where you don't know if he's kidding, and then he got a lot of over on people. So he was really funny.
So cool. I mean, I think he's perfect for those signings. That he has the personality. He's comfortable in front of an audience. The same way with Andre Reed. I know he does a lot with his charity work, so he's always out in front of people. And then, of course, Marv Levy being a coach, you got to know how to talk to people. Yeah,
it was cool with Marv Levy. He was very engaged in. It was Sunday when we did it Sunday morning, so afternoon. A lot of the games are going on, but he had a lot of rooting interest in basically all the games because he has such a coaching tree of all these guys. Where he's like, "What's the Colts score? What's the Bills score?" Obviously, and he had a reason to root for every team, and he kind of gave a little backstory on why he's rooting for this team and. Certain players and stuff. So, yeah, he was a lot of fun. I learned a lot from him in the short time we had with him. Andre Reed too. He was all about the games too. So he had a lot of
sure they weren't
score
just
updates,
watching for the spread updates?
I mean, I don't think Marv Levy was. Maybe Andre Reed, but they were all both pretty engaged. They were into it for sure.
Let me ask you a question. You talked about LT being one of the surprises of a guy we felt intimidated by at first, rightfully so probably. But, at the end of the day, he's obviously one of the nicest guys we've had to deal with. Was there anyone at this show that surprised you that, maybe you were unsure of or nervous around working with that you were pleasantly surprised, so to say?
I mean, I wouldn't say I was nervous. I mean, at this point in the career, nervous isn't, we've pretty much done everybody.
You're a pro's pro.
Yeah, I would like to think so. Marv Levy, I mean, again, I hate to bring up the fact that he's old. I mean, he's 94, but, he was running the show. I mean, he knew exactly what was going on, what to do. Do you want me to write this? Do you want me to write that? And he just, beautiful signature, takes his time. I was, I wouldn't say pleasantly surprised, but surprised that he was so.
For sure. I mean, that's a guy who has a lot of miles.
And he was doing a signing in Buffalo the day before. So, I mean, he was back-to-back days of signing, and he was just grinding it out. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's committed to it for sure.
Yeah, he has a lot of miles. He coached the Bills, coached in the CFL, so he's been around the game for a while. Yeah. He knows what he's talking about.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to go ahead and shift. I'll move this over to you, Zach, since you were the other part of this here with Austin Ekeler here in the office.
Yeah.
How did things go for you from your point of view with him coming in?
I mean, Austin was awesome. I mean, he's into his third year in the league, and he definitely came in with that very humble attitude. And he was just great. I mean, he takes his time with his signature, makes it look clean. I mean, you definitely can notice, and it's a recognizable signature as well. And I think the cool thing with him was, personally, I haven't really seen his signature on any memorabilia at all. And he loved seeing some of the different helmets. I mean, we forget that they don't always see some of these special like Rydell helmets that come out. So he definitely had some comments for like the AMP helmet that came out. He was like, "Oh, this looks sweet," and like seeing some of the different the Color Rush jerseys and like all this. Like he was just making like comments on that like he really enjoyed his time here, and that's always good to see. I mean, it was to not only have them come in and be good with it, but like be so engaged the way he was phenomenal.
Especially the day before a game. Everyone's studying film and going through practice walkthroughs, and he came in, he was just like, "Hey, what's going on? What's going on?"
Yeah, he was so relaxed too. Like he only had like an hour to sign stuff, and he wasn't just like pushy with it or anything, or hey, what's the time? Hey, what's the time? Like he was just like totally relaxed about it, having a casual conversation the whole time. I mean, he was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you touched on earlier, that he's somebody who came in with a humble attitude. Obviously, going from being undrafted to being a starter in the NFL is quite a journey in itself. But you can still see why that he keeps his feet on the ground, so to speak.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think it translates to his game too. I mean, he's not this flashy player, and that like you see any off the field antics or any stuff like him on the sideline or any like he just goes in and every play is just like grinding. I mean, he had that game-winning touchdown. I don't know if I'd call it game-winning since Chicago.
It was the winning score.
It was the winning score.
Yes,
but,
it was.
Sorry about that, Adam. Yeah. But no, I mean he's a great player. I mean he talked to us a little bit about his touchdown celebration, and I don't know, man. He was great to have in.
Yeah, I saw a video of him that he was doing a Victory Monday. He was literally doing one-armed pull-ups while reading a book.
Oh my God.
So I immediately felt like a total fat piece of shit.
Oh my God.
That's crazy.
He's jacked. I mean, for being like, he's not the tallest guy in the world, but he is just
he's solid.
He's so cut, and it's absurd. I mean,
Was Saturday their travel day? I mean, it couldn't have been, right? They came in Friday.
They might have came in Friday. I don't know.
Come in Friday.
I mean, I would assume so, but given the time difference and
Yeah.
obviously you don't want to come in on Saturday and have your plane get
Right.
delayed
Yeah,
or anything.
true.
I mean, he was available in the afternoon, so I'm assuming they had like team walkthroughs and
Yeah,
things like
probably.
that.
Yeah, most likely.
But I think like harpens back to sometimes it is okay to meet your heroes.
Yeah.
You know, you always hear that phrase, don't ever
Yeah.
meet your heroes because they're never the way they are. But obviously, the guys that we at least worked with were great to work with, you know, both in Minnesota and Austin coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was excited to see Marv Levy with all the, being a 4-time AFC champ, but also that means 4-time Super Bowl loser back to back.
Well, that's one way to put it.
You learn a lot. You learn a lot from a guy. I'm sure a lot of people have seen the ESPN 30 for 30, Four Falls of Buffalo. That kind of chronicles their story, and just a really positive guy. And Andre Reed had amazing things to say about him. Just a guy who respected the players, and if the players respected themselves and respected the game, he was a really good guy to play for and treated everybody fairly. Where you stood. So I was excited to see Marv Levy. He was a little bit of a coaching hero in my eyes. So that was my highlight of the weekend for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how even though they went to 4 Super Bowls and lost them, like that fan base is still rabid. Kind of like the Cleveland Browns, where like they're fanatics about them.
Right. I mean, it's you see it when you haven't won one like that, or at least a long time. It's brings the fans back to it. You're so close, but you don't get there. Keeps them coming back.
As a Bucs fan, I wouldn't know anything about that. We don't even get that close.
Yeah, we don't get that close either.
True.
Well, that's going to do it for us here in the studio. A little bit of a shorter episode with the Austin Ekeler interview taking up the second half, so make sure you stay tuned. It's a great interview with Austin, a lot of good talking points, a lot of good conversation, so make sure you stay tuned for that, and then tune in next week. We'll be back with another episode. Welcome back to the Freshing Studios. I'm here with our usual man, Zach, and another guy with another A name. It's not Adam. It is Austin Ekeler, starting running back for Los Angeles Chargers. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
No problem.
Yeah, Austin's coming in, visiting, obviously playing the Bears. Came in, knocked out a couple items for a signing, came in and decided to sit down and chat a little bit. Going to keep it a little lighthearted. No football-related questions, too bad.
Oh, it's all good.
So the first question I had, your town growing up, a town of 800 people. So when I drive to U of I, which is in Champaign, Southern Illinois, you pass through all these towns that have like 500, 200, 300. I think the biggest one has like 1,000. Mm-hmm. And every time I think, what do these people do for fun? I'm like, there's nothing in the town. I blink and I drive right through it. So what do you guys do? What did you do growing up besides putting fence posts in?
Yeah, for fun. No, but it wasn't 800. Let's get that straight. I think it was like a couple thousand.
All right.
I mean, it was a decent size.
Right.
I mean, it's still a small
sure.
town. But no, there was definitely a lot of cornfields, onion. Like there's a lot of farms, farm around. But for fun, it was sports mainly for me. During the seasons, I played basically year round, and then worked out in the off season and put fence posts in. But no, I had a good group of friends. When you're in a small town like that, I started kindergarten there, and so I grew up with the same people that I graduated with. So
that's nice.
I always had community, relations and friends, and my friends, I knew their family knew my family, so it was pretty easy to stay busy.
Tight-knit community.
Exactly.
Definitely.
One of the things you brought up while we were doing the signing is you actually never watched the NFL until you got to college. Is that right?
Yeah, I didn't really follow the NFL. I always followed college because I had a cousin who coached for the University of Nebraska, and I have a lot of family from Nebraska as well, so I always watched the Cornhuskers play, and never really watched the pros until I got into college. Yeah.
Wow. No, that's pretty cool. So so you went to a D2 school. I went to a Division III school, so kind of smaller. And I mean, what was that experience like? I mean, just that grind to get yourself noticed.
Yeah, my school, Western State, Colorado, up in Gunnison, Colorado. There's like 2,500 students, I think, in the entire school. The community was another small community, just like Eden, like 5,000 in the community with the school. And so it was still that tight-knit community, but for me, it wasn't even about getting noticed or anything like that. It was just about taking advantage of the opportunity. I'm getting my school paid for, and just, it's always been my mindset from growing up and being around, my friends forever. We always just try to, compete and outwork and just, grow together. And so it was the same mindset going to Gunnison. And now it's like, hey, how can I put myself in this situation where there's not a lot of distractions, so it was easy to stay focused, right? And I just got school, football, and ice fishing. It's like what we did up there,
No,
so
I get
it was
that.
easy to stay focused, and I had a great group of guys around me then too, so
that helps.
Yeah.
I read there was like 9 other running backs on the roster when you got to school,
was,
right?
Yeah.
So when you get there and you see 9 other guys, what goes through your mind of, what am I doing here?
Well, yeah, it was an interesting situation for sure coming in. Because the senior running back had just graduated, and so it was kind of up for grabs for the spot. And I think they recruited 4 of us, 4 I almost said rookies, but freshmen, and then they had 5 there. And so when we got there, meeting with the head coach, he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna move some people around." So 2 of the running backs actually converted to other positions, and then there was still 7 of us left to compete for the spot. And through fall camp and just, I guess, the first game just proved that, hey, I was going to be the guy. And then it took off from there.
Well,
awesome.
you definitely were the guy based on the stats you put up. There's no denying that.
Shoot, actually, my first game, I had 10 carries for 10 yards.
Really?
And I was like, what am I doing? I was like, I just burned my red shirt and I suck. And I was just like, what? And then I went like on a streak for like 100 yards or for 8 games or something like that. So I was like, oh, okay, I can do this.
Yeah, definitely.
Moving forward to when you were coming out in the draft, I read there were 27 other running backs drafted that draft. What was going through your mind as you saw the names coming through on the bottom screen and you're just not seeing yours? Is there a little feeling of dejection, but you still have to know, hey, there's undrafted free agents, there's other ways to make this roster?
Right. So I wasn't really expecting to be drafted, but I was like, maybe there's a chance.
Late round flyer.
In the 7th round. So the 7th round, I was like, oh, maybe, especially when the last pick came, I think it was like Denver. I was like, oh, come on, I'm from Colorado.
That would be huge.
Hometown
boy.
boy.
They're going to pick me up,
Yeah.
And then it was some quarterback or something like that. And I was just like, man. But actually halfway through the last round, my agent called me. He's like, hey, if you don't get picked up, the Chargers are really interested in you. And that was like my second choice of team that I wanted to go to. So it was nice being an undrafted free agent because I did have some choices.
Right.
So that actually played in my advantage. It wouldn't have if I didn't have a choice and it was just one team that wanted me, but it ended up being that I had a choice. And so I was like, yeah, well, let's do it then. The draft ended and bang, got everything signed. Bang, I was a Charger right after.
It was pretty quick
So
then.
even though the draft ended, I was still excited because I knew I was going somewhere.
Yeah,
that's nice.
For sure.
Why were the Chargers your second favorite team? And obviously, besides offering you a contract, why'd you pick to sign with them?
Right, Green Bay was my first choice as far as on the list where I was looking. It's because they didn't have a running back on the roster.
So is that a potential revenge game when you guys play them?
I wouldn't say that. It wasn't like they did anything to me. That was just for me as a scouting tactic. I was like, oh, I want to go here, and then they ended up drafting 3 running backs, and after they drafted the second one, my agent called me. He's like, "Hey, we're not going there anymore." They already got their young guys.
Cross that one off.
Yep. So then it was the Chargers, and the Chargers because they had Melvin Gordon, but they also had a bunch of injuries to their other running backs, and they were all young. And there was also a coaching change, so the politics in it was different.
Right.
So you have a bunch of young running backs, new coaches coming in, so no one has a relationship with the coaches yet. So it's like everyone can start from ground zero and building their relationship and proving what they can do on the field. That's big. Huge. It's huge. And I didn't even think about that aspect. I thought about just the young running backs, I have a shot, mixing in. But it turned out to be that was probably the biggest, factor. Because I think of it now, and with our situation, it's like the relationships that I have with Alfredo Roberts, our running back coach, like he trusts me on the field. And so you actually have to build that trust as your new guy coming in, showing that, hey, I can also get on the field. So being able to start with no trust and it's just we building it from here on is huge.
Yeah, I think I remember reading a story that you went up to head coach Anthony Lynn and asked, what can I do to make this team? And he told you the name of the running backs coach, know this guy, get on special teams, and there was one other one. I can't remember off the top of my head now, but I remember because you said you were wearing number 3 in preseason. You're like, this is a number they give people who generally don't make the team, so I need to do something here. Right. And I guess a couple of years later, he's ended up in many. He didn't even know who you were, which is astonishing from where you are now from back then.
So that I went up to him and I was like, hey, because I was like, my mindset during training camp and OTAs was like I have to do everything I can to make this team. You know, I left school a semester early to go and commit to pro day and just playing football. I was like, this is an opportunity that I can get once in my lifetime. I'm going all in. Yeah. So I left everything and put all my chips in, and I was going. So after OTAs, I didn't really have that great of a camp because I was still learning. And so I went up to Coach Lynn. I was like, hey, man, like you said, what do I got to do to make this team? He said, he gave me like a list of 3 things, but he didn't even know who I was. Right. And the main thing he said was, go talk to Coach Stu, our special teams guy. So I went over there, talked to him, and said the same thing. But it was just, coming from – nothing, and then finally listening to these guys. I don't even know if I got anything from that, but I think it's just implanted my mind, like my image in those guys. Like, oh, this guy actually cares.
No, that's huge. So no, we kind of did a little digging on you, and found out
see that.
You're definitely
notes.
I mean, we wanted to keep this thing
it.
relaxed. So no, we found out you're definitely into some computer games.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm definitely a gamer.
I'd love to hear about it, man.
Yeah.
What's your favorite PC
League of
game?
Legends. League of Legends is my game, right?
Shout
out to Riot Games.
I was trying to do a little research on that. What exactly is it? Is it like a strategy game?
So it's a MOBA.
Okay.
For those of you that don't know MOBA, it's a multiplayer online battle arena.
Right.
So like a Call of Duty is a MOBA, and this is like a 5v5, but you have like a little character, and your little character has a role, and there's different parts in the map that your role is participated to. So I play the jungle, which is my role. So I help out all my other laners. Yeah, it's getting real nerdy right now.
You're a helper.
Yeah, exactly. So I go through and I try to help my team defeat the other team, and then you eventually have to push them back all the way back into their base, and then beat their power, their nexus is what it's called.
So if we were playing Battlefield, you would be the medic, basically. You're the one helping the team.
Well, not necessarily a medic, but I'm just support.
Sure.
Like if you need backup, I'm coming in. Yeah, there we go.
All right.
Have you ever played any of the Total War games by chance?
I haven't played Total War.
I'm a big fan of those. So you can get lost in those. Maybe save that for the off season.
How is Total War? Is it more of a single player? Is it
so you know the game Risk, the board game Risk? So it's like that, but when you attack somebody or take over something, you fight the battle real time. So you get to control the armies and stuff like that.
That's pretty cool.
Build your whole empire
It's
up.
not just like rolling dice. It's
no,
animated battle. Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, but save that for the off season because you'll get lost in that.
I already get lost in.
We'll get reports that you're missing film sessions.
Right. No, I mean, I heard League of Legends was big and everything, and the first time I've actually ever witnessed it was on the TV show Ballers on HBO. Like they actually play it in there, and that's
was The Rock playing it?
No, who's their player? He's supposed to be playing for the Dallas Cowboys, and he's like the star defensive end. And he starts saying, he's like, no, like I want to be a professional gamer. Like he wanted to throw away his NFL career, and he's like, I want to be a professional gamer. And they just focused on League of Legends for like 2 seasons.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. For all of my fantasy football teams, please don't do that. do you have people coming up to you for fantasy football players saying, "Oh man, you saved me," or "Oh, you burned me last week"?
In my entire requested DMs is fantasy football. It's either good or bad, So
you're number 3 for the season, so it's been mostly pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it was last game. I didn't really do much, or 2 games ago. It's like everyone, like, well, come on, man, like. Yeah, but that's how it is. That's how the NFL is, man.
It comes with the territory.
I'm doing my best. I'm not out there intentionally trying to make your fantasy team do bad. So if I don't do as well as you want me to, you can't come at me in my DMs like, come on, man, you need to carry me. It's like, hey, I'm trying.
So do you find like fantasy football to be more of like a positive or negative to the sport as a whole? Like
100% positive.
Yeah.
100%. It just brings more involvement with, people. Even you might not even like know football, but you know what fantasy football is, or you've heard people talk about it, and it just brings more awareness to the sport and gets people more involved with actual players. Like me myself, like my just following has grown just because of fantasy football. I feel like because a lot of people that follow me aren't just Charger fans; they're just people that I have you on my fantasy team. Yeah. So you get some interaction between player and the public.
Oh yeah.
I think one of the things that's definitely helped you, which you kind of mentioned, is the workouts, the exercise routines. You're always like staying busy. Your YouTube workouts, insane. I lose a couple pounds just watching it on YouTube. I read that in college you were actually squatting more than some of the offensive linemen. Is that true?
Yeah, pretty much.
So
from freshman year too.
From freshman year?
Yeah.
So you just came in ready to go.
I don't know if it was my genetics or what, or just working out.
It was the fence post.
Yeah, it was.
It's country strong.
Yeah, absolutely,
for sure, country strong. I like it.
So how do you think that's helped you so far in the NFL? Being a workout fiend and obviously being a running back, and somebody who's not a big running back, compared to other people, like Derrick Henry and some of the other huge guys.
Yeah, they're massive. I played him a couple weeks ago. He just, like, you watch like all the running backs around him. When you see him, he makes them look so short. But the thing is, I know I'm as short as those guys as well. So I would look that short too.
But how do you stay healthy through the season? Taking that beating that a running back does, especially one as yourself, that you're not only running the ball, you're running pass routes, you're doing a lot of cutting, things like that. What's the key to staying healthy for you?
And I think you kind of touched on it. It's just my workout routine. I think just because I keep up on my body as far as my strength, it really helps me take hits and things like that nature. Keeps my balance. I'm not falling awkwardly. And just because of my height, I think I've also have an advantage of protecting my knees. It's easier for me to get low, before I'm about to get hit or, protect myself. And so that is one thing that I think is an advantage of being short is like, protect my knees.
Nobody's getting underneath
I've never had any like knee injuries, like, so I don't know, like that comes down to genetics too. And so there's a lot that plays into it, but, they're very thankful for as far as injuries have gone for me. Yeah, knock on wood. Nothing's changing, so if something happens, it's just unlucky, Yeah,
just a little freak accident then.
Yeah, exactly.
So speaking to that about getting hit all the time, I read that you are afraid of the ocean. Is that true as well?
Terrified.
Terrified? So you would rather get hit by a 300-pound lineman or a 250-pound linebacker at full speed than go tiptoeing in the ocean?
No, okay. I'm not that terrified.
Right.
I'm not.
Did you just watch Jaws too many times, or?
See, I just didn't grow up around the ocean.
Oh, okay.
So I grew up around lakes where I can see the other side of the lake. I can see the houses and the shore, and so and I know there's no fish in this lake bigger than me. It's always been like little private lakes, so it's nothing that's been there for a while, or you can even get that big. And I don't know, it's just the uncertainty.
That's what we were talking about. I mean, I grew up in Florida, surrounded by beaches, and I never wanted to go in the ocean just because I don't like not knowing what I'm stepping on or what's under there.
Exactly.
And there are fish bigger than me in the ocean.
Yeah.
Several.
Yeah.
Several.
We were just having this conversation yesterday. I was saying the ocean freaks me out. I went snuba diving. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Snuba.
Not
so they
scuba.
Not scuba.
Okay.
They throw a little oxygen tank on like a raft, and then there's like 8 different 25-foot long hoses that come off of it, and it's an oxygen mask. And I was down in like the Caribbean. It was like my senior year, like high school trip with some friends. We went on like a cruise, and we were down there, and I was just taking it all in. We went out probably like 50, 100 feet away from shore, and we're taking it in, and we're on our way back, and I'm just like swimming and swimming.
Was the water clear?
Yeah, it was completely clear. Really? And I'm the last one. Like I realized it. Oh my God! Like everyone's in front of me, and the ocean's behind me, and I like thought I was just.
You're the one the sharks are waiting for.
Oh, I was about to get picked off, and like I literally just like turned around and was like, it's just openness. But like it was like a calming feeling, but also a scary feeling of just seeing a wide open blue ocean, and it just doesn't end. Like you just don't know what's there, man.
That's just human nature. Just being the uncertainty, kind of freaks us out. And so it's just I haven't been around it. I've been around it more lately. I have a boogie board and everything now, so I'm actually out there, enjoying it. But I'm not spending too much time past neck deep.
Right.
Not at all, if any.
No.
One thing you do enjoy is classic rock. When did you start getting onto classic rock? What turned you onto that?
I think that was just through my upcoming as well. Being out on the ranch. Listen to a lot of just country, rock, things like that. I'm terrible with artists too. Everyone's always like, "Oh, who's your favorite?" I'm just like, I can tell you songs, but I don't know like who it is, and because I was always on the radio, so I'm just like listening to it. It's not like I have it on like the iPod or anything.
Right. So you know the lyrics, but
yeah, exactly. Oh, I can sing a bunch of old songs. Even like it'll come on the radio, and my girlfriend will be like, "You know this song?" I'm just like, "Yeah, what do you mean?" And then up in Gunnison, there was radio too, but there wasn't a lot of stations up in Gunnison. It's kind of a more western town, so it kind of had more of the rock, and it just played right into it.
Does that kind of lead into your signature touchdown celebration?
100%.
Play your guitar?
100%. I just how I see myself rocking out. If I was on a stage, just rocking out. I feel like that's just that feeling every time you score a touchdown. But that would be the whole concert. Everyone's cheering, screaming. You're just like, yeah.
There's pyro going off.
Right. No, I'm not like strumming. I'm like breaking the string. Let's go. Let's rock out. It's hard to score in this league.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, do you have any like game day routines or like rituals that like you have to Sunday morning? Like this is the first thing you're doing in the morning. Like
I don't honestly. I've never been. What is it?
Superstitious.
Yeah, it's been just get your mind right. For me, make sure I'm in a mental state. I do flip a switch. I am a different person on game day.
Right.
You have to be as a running back.
Yeah, I do.
Or anyone.
For whatever reason, I just go into this mode when I start getting on the field and on the grass, and it's just game day Austin. And so that could be my
different
That's
person.
your alter ego?
Yeah, it might be.
It
might be. And then off the field, it's just business and casual Austin.
One of the things I was reading, doing some research, is some of the analytics that people do for the drafting and scouting. They're realizing that running back is really an area where they haven't focused on as much since people have kind of devalued it. I think Jerry Jones came out this year and said you don't need a franchise running back to win a Super Bowl when he was arguing with Zeke.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, cool, but Zeke's pretty nice to have.
Yeah,
And the same thing, like, yeah, Austin's pretty nice to have.
Yeah.
What do you think is the key to finding more people like yourself? Like, Matt Breida didn't even get invited to the combine. He's a starting running back now. Phillip Lindsay, starting running back for the Denver Broncos, went undrafted. Yourself, undrafted. So what do you think is the key for people to be able to find, that diamond in the rough like yourself?
I think the thing is overlooked the most as far as recruiting, but it's weird because you can't really put a value to it, is, somebody's mentality about what they want to do and accomplish and just in life, and our case football, and then your heart, like how much of it do you actually believe that you can do. And so I feel like that's what separated me, is I've just committed my life to one thing, and it's been football. I've branched out now, but at that time it was just I'm committing myself to my body, working out, playing football, and doing the best that I can. And as far as my upbringing, just put a work ethic inside of me that I'll never be able to get rid of, and that's also pushed me. And so you can't put a measure on that. You don't know someone's background, especially by just looking at a piece of paper. Even just talking to someone one time for 30 minutes, I can't get to know what drives you.
Right.
Like what in your past has put you to this point to be in the situation you are now, and is that something you want to change? Is it something that you like? And so for me, I know my past. I hated building the fence, hated it, but it taught me how to work so hard because I was never allowed to complain ever. I was just told, put your head down and go. This is your job. Go do it. And so that's kind of what was built into me. I'll never do manual labor like that ever again, but that work ethic is in me, and that's how I work now. I'm a grinder, and that's what I love about my agent. He's a grinder too, and that's something that you can't measure that because you don't know. And so I think that's what's overlooked, and that's why you find these diamond in the roughs, because you find a guy like Phillip Lindsay, they're just grinders. When you find them, you'll find them real quick. You'll be like, oh, this guy actually is pretty good, and so I think that's definitely how it would happen. And whoever can find out the rhythm or the formula, or to even it might just be getting to know like someone's background. Like, how did you grow up? How did you learn how to work?
Totally understand. So no, I mean you touched on how you're starting to branch out now and doing different things. I mean, we kind of found your YouTube videos that you and your girlfriend have been doing. I mean, tell us more about that,
sure.
man. I mean,
Tay and A, right?
So Tay and A, yeah.
Tay&A.
Check it out for sure. Tay and A. We're a startup, just YouTube channel. We just like to vlog, just weird things, various things. It might be a workout, it might be a challenge that we do. For us, it's like a hobby for us. We're like, hey, do we want to make a vlog? Do we not? So we'll spread them out. But it's just a way for us to capture, our time together, and also motivate us. Like, hey, let's try new things.
Right.
And we'll be able to reminisce on those later. And later in life, even years down the road, be able to look back and say like, wow, or even kids. And so hopefully through YouTube, obviously you can like make income and stuff like that, but I think the main purpose is to love what we're doing with that before that becomes a priority.
I think one of the most recent ones was you guys went to like a pumpkin farm and did all this Halloween stuff, and I think she said it was the first time you guys were able to celebrate Halloween together.
Yeah, it was.
Or is that type of stuff that you're looking for, more of that like human interest type stuff basically?
Exactly. It's just kind of, if you're a follower, I guess what we're wanting you to see is just follow our journey. Our journey, see how far we've come or what we're doing, and just see how we've evolved as a couple. Hopefully we're entertaining too. I don't know. We're working on that part.
I did see one you put on a wig and went to prank her.
Yes. So that's our best one so far. Well, I think it is anyway. But no, yeah, definitely. I went to her work, and I was going to put on a wig, but the wigs are way too, I felt like, obvious. Looking back, I should have, the wig that I have in the thumbnail, if you check it out, I should have worn that one and like put it in like a ponytail or something. Either way, it didn't matter because she didn't recognize me.
No.
I went to her work and sat through an entire meal, and she did not recognize that I was her boyfriend. Like, cause I shaved my facial hair. She's never seen me without facial hair. and I was just sitting there, and she thought I was some creepy guy, and I was trying to
She's probably texting you. There's this creepy guy here.
Did you watch it? Because she did.
She did?
Literally did. Yeah, she did. She literally was like, "There's this dude here who keeps filming me," and I was trying to be discreet by filming it, like just casually have my phone out, but it's hard because I'm like following her around.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, no, it's a great video. If you definitely watch that.
Definitely check that one out.
Yeah, she had her security watching me and stuff like that.
Oh no,
it was funny because I had her come up to me and I was like, "Ma'am, can you change my water?" And she was like freaked out at that point, so she came about, didn't make any eye contact, grabbed it, and someone else brought it back out. I was like, come on. But yeah, she's literally texting me like, "This creepy guy keeps filming me."
That's
it's
awesome.
Funny. It's great. Yeah, Tay and A. There's an apostrophe on the end though.
I saw you guys went to like a haunted house the other day, right? It's like one of the top amusement parks, basically. Yeah. How was that?
Knott's Berry Farm.
Yeah,
they like changed the name for Halloween. It's like Knott's Scary Farm.
Yeah.
The little play, but we have a relationship through the Chargers with them as well. Okay. And so they take care of us, and we'll go just hang out with everyone there, take pictures with everyone, and they give us like free passes to get to the front of the line and ride rides. So I love it. I love every.
Oh, you gotta take advantage of that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think we did over the summer. We did I was there. I didn't do it, but I was watching some of my other teammates participate in a pie eating contest, and they were literally hands behind your back, just getting in there.
Who ended up winning that?
I think it was some little girl.
Of course it was.
Yeah. They didn't want to give it to us because it's like you're a grown man, whatever. Give it to the girl who really matters to. But it was just all fun. But yeah, Not Scary Farm. I had to wear a GoPro while we were going through one, and you just know it's. The thing is, I wasn't scared, but I got scared. Like I was, like people scared me, like jumping and things like that. Like they did a good job. Because I think with the Scary House, I don't know how if you guys are into like Halloween and stuff like that. But it's like
Halloween.
When you go to places, that like I know I'm going to be scared, so you're not really scared because you're like it's not going to hurt me.
Right.
So it's on their job to try and scare you in that situation, and they did a pretty good job over there.
Oh, I can't do scary houses.
No,
I mean haunted houses. I did one in college, and there
terrified.
was like 10 of us, and we were in a line, and I was at the back end of it. So everyone's just going.
Why does everyone
slow.
shove you to the back?
I don't know how that ended up happening, but I had like a little dude like pulling on my shirt.
Oh my God.
So like I'm turning around, and it's in Jackson, Michigan. It was like ranked like the top haunted house 5 years in a row. So they went all out, and I can't do that.
I can't do
stuff,
the ones
man.
where they touch you.
No.
I got two more questions for you. Having a Chargers player on here, I think pretty much it goes without saying. What is your favorite Phillip Rivers ism? We know he never cusses or anything like that.
Never.
There has to be one that sticks out to you.
He's got a bunch. Like he's got almighty, like gosh darn it, and crap. But it's probably I don't know, because there's so many.
I know mother frickin's like a pretty popular one.
I've never heard him say that.
No?
That's funny. No, I've never heard him say that.
Derek Watt was saying it on another podcast he was on. He was like, he always says that one.
Yeah.
It's probably good you haven't heard that one then.
That sounds right. That's probably like the top of what he would say. Gosh darn it, all those. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I like them all. Just because Phil's getting fired up. It's like, yeah, Phil,
Right.
Last question we got for you then, since we know you need to get rolling. You and Melvin Gordon, best running back tandem in the NFL?
Shoot. Right now, man, I feel like it's been rough just because I feel like he missed so much football.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's been hard for him to get really a rhythm going lately. And I would say last year, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, it's just been a different situation, especially with our injuries and, his holdout. So I think we can get to that point, but I don't think we're there right now, honestly. And so we have a lot of work to do. That's just as a team in general, because we have a lot of injuries to work through. We have not a lot of new guys playing. And so there's a lot of, stuff that's required from us, being guys that have been in the offense. We got to do more than what we're used to, too. So we're also expanding on our role. So it's taking everyone, I think, right now a little bit to get in the rhythm. So trying to do as fast as we can, obviously, because we're in the middle of the season. So it's not the most ideal time to be switching things up. But we don't have a choice because of all our injuries. So,
man, that's awesome. I appreciate the honest answer there.
I
was expecting
like
just a straight up yes.
I'm be straight up, man. We're not there yet.
Appreciate
we know that. There's no hiding from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to do us here for Freshing Studios with Los Angeles Chargers starting running back Austin Ekeler, top fantasy running back for everyone out there.
Hey.
So if you have him on your team, you better be starting him every single week. But we'll be back here with another signing and another Fresh Ink episode.